Exclusive from Collider, Quentin Tarantino working with Gerard Carmichael on Django Zorro movie. Quentin Tarantino has tapped Gerald Carmichael to co-write a Django Zorro movie based on the crossover comic book series of the same name. Multiple sources tell Collider, written by Tarantino and released by Dynamite Entertainment and DC Comics. The series served as a sequel to the director's 2012 movie Django Unchained, starring Jamie Foxx. The story takes place several years after the events of Django Unchained. Django is still a bounty hunter, and since there's a warrant on his head back east, he has been mainly playing his trade in the western states. After safely settling his wife, Broomhilda, near Chicago, he takes the road once again, sending her funds whenever he completes a job. It's by a sheer chance that he encounters the aged and sophisticated Diego de la Vega, or should I say Don Diego de la Vega, the famed Zorro, and soon finds himself fascinated by this unusual character who can also hold his own in a fight. Duh. It's not long before Django becomes Django's bodyguard and joins him on a mission to free the local indigenous people from slavery. Now, I am a massive Zorro fan. As a kid, one of my favorite shows, of course they were reruns, were from the 1950s Disneyland series starring Guy Williams as Zorro. It was a fun-loving show. I ended up watching The Mark of Zorro with Tyrone Power, one of the best sword fights you ever see with him and Basil Rathbone. Of course, I liked the Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas, released in the 90s. Definitely a fun update on that story. Hated the sequel, but whatever. So I'm a big fan of Zorro, and I enjoyed to a degree Django Unchained. This particular combo has me very intrigued. Now, you're a big Quentin Tarantino fan, TJ. How do you feel about this, and how do you feel about both characters?
First, when you told me, when you said we're talking about Quentin Tarantino, cool, I'm excited. When you tell me he's doing another movie after a story in Hollywood, cool, I'm excited. It's a Django sequel. Cool. I'm excited. Django and Zorro. What? Bro, this is crazy. I mean, you're reading the premise, the whole plot to me, and I'm like, this can really work. And I thought for a second, I was like, oh, when you said an aged Zorro, I'm like, oh, is Antonio Banderas going to reprise his role?
That's when I saw the word aged, I'm like, I wonder if they're leaving that door open, and I would be really fine with it.
I would also, but the thing about it is, knowing Quentin Tarantino, like I've recognized in some of his films, he uses some of the same people. I could see him using the gentleman that plays Senor Bob in The Hateful Eight as the aged Zorro, because he's a pretty good actor, man. I liked him in Weeds. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry on that one. No disrespect, my dude. But thinking about this film, you got the director bringing in Gerard Carmichael. I think he is a very funny guy. I loved his show, The Carmichaels. I hate that it didn't go past 2 seasons, but he's doing a lot of stuff, and he's actually got a docu-series on HBO called Home Videos. I want to say I grew up with this cat because we grew up in the same area, but in all likelihood, we didn't run in the same pack. But still, seeing him do working with Quentin Tarantino is going to be awesome. This has the potential to be great, and I'm hoping Jamie Foxx will reprise his role, and Kerry Washington will reprise her role as Broomhilda. And we can't get Christoph Schultz back. I mean, we can't get King Schultz back because he's dead. But I loved his character in the first one. I'm rambling now because I'm like a real fanboy about this, man. This is awesome.
Well, I wouldn't see it as a big of a leap for them to get Antonio Banderas. Quentin Tarantino has worked very much with Robert Rodriguez, who was the director of the El Mariachi trilogy, which starred Antonio Banderas in 2 of the 3 films, Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. They've crossed paths before. I can totally see it, and in many ways, I'm kind of hoping that Antonio Banderas comes back, if only to kind of wash out the taste of that second movie, The Legend of Zorro. This might be a true comeback for that. And I don't know, for some reason, Quentin Tarantino and Zorro together, I think, has possibility.
Nasty.
I like to see edgier takes on certain characters and so forth, but I think with Zorro, there is kind of a fun-loving aspect, at least to the film incarnations of Zorro. There's still like watching a true Zorro film. There has to be that sense of fun. He's like the Spanish Robin Hood in a way. The devil may care swashbuckling attitude. I don't necessarily want to see a blood-spattered Zorro.
I can get your point, but here's why I can tell you that Quentin can make it work. Because they specifically make sure to mention that this is an age Zorro. So we can believe that Zorro has seen some things. He's been through some stuff. So this Zorro that we see in this film, this ain't your Zorro. He's about to he is about to be different. This is going to be a darker take on it, man, because I can't imagine a Quentin Tarantino movie where a character who's synonymous for having a sword doesn't slit some throats.
I can't wait for the sequel to this. You can literally have Zorro, Django, and maybe the Man with No Name from the Dollars trilogy that was played originally by Clint Eastwood.
Nice.
And if they can bring him back as an aged man with no name.
Yo, if he somehow manages to make a cameo in this film, I'm gonna lose all my shit.
Who would the good, the bad, and the ugly be in this particular situation?
Nice.
Oh man. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited by this prospect, if only just because it sounds like a wild, fun idea.
Definitely excited. Cannot wait. Look, the more stories come out, I'm gonna find it on IMDb so that I can go ahead and put a notification on it. So every story that comes out about it, I want to know.